Okay, that's for the public. Okay, so I will stay here. So, well, and then the floor is yours. I don't know if you have any comment, any special remark or question to make our panel of presenters. Any volunteer? No? Okay. In that case, I think we have a huge online audience. They have sent quite a number of questions, and we have selected, hopefully, the most interesting ones for you. And I will start. I have some questions from myself, and I will start with Ramona, maybe, which is the freshest presentation on my mind. You mentioned the relevance of several things for integrated planning in cities. You mentioned the importance of having structures and processes set up. You mentioned the need of an overall strategic approach. And finally, you mentioned the high priority in the capacity building was in the decision making. The question is, which of those should come first? Because it's not a clear, there is not a clear process in building all this within a city to promote urban transformation. Which should come first? Is it the strategic approach? Is it the structure, the change in municipal structures, for example? What's your take on this?
So the most easier way that we found that we can obtain results, tangible results, was to intervene on at staff level, executive staff level, because these are the people that can actually act in elaborating the SECAPs or the other strategic documents. But on the long term, on the longer term, we need to approach the strategic level, the management level, because we found that they need to be engaged in this fight, in this action to sustainability and climate action. And also we need to build the collaboration system within those, the municipalities, the organizations, because if colleagues cannot work together in interdepartmental teams, multidisciplinary teams, it's hard for them to reach the higher objective. It's harder for them to go towards the vision. But commitment needs to be taken at political level, at management level. So we will go firstly to the staff, to the executive staff, but also we will work close with strategic and political actually, we will try to do this, but this is our approach.
So this might be one of the first targets that we might address in our work. Thank you very much. Sonia, I have a question here for you from the online audience. They're asking, how would you like to continue the cooperation with national level stakeholders?
Well, since city of Osijek is located about 3-hour drive from Zagreb, where most of the government and government institutions and agencies are, we really don't have the possibility to, hop on the tram or the bus and be at the ministry within 5 or 10 minutes. It takes us really planning to be involved. My colleague Mira actually has really perfected this for City of Osijek. She's very persistent. She has really networked into many institutions, really trying to gain as much as possible. So we try to participate in many events that will put us in contact with various institutions. Zagreb Energy Week is one of them. For example, in these few days, Mira and I have worked on energy and climate programs. We have worked at energy efficiency, and tomorrow we will be working on noise action plans. So I think this constant contact and a really a proactive approach from both sides, from our contacts and friends and colleagues at the ministries and of us at a local level, is really necessary to really maintain these relationships further after the projects end.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. Now, a question for Pachi, also from our online audience, which is, what do you think is the most important issue in the approach to end users? Maybe relating to your experience, to our experience in Irala and Bilbao.
Yeah, I think it's not a single approach to end users. That's the most important thing, I think, that we have to have it in mind all the time when we approach a community of owners or individual house owners. Like people have very different needs, and we cannot impose a policy for building refurbishment to people and try them to comply with some regulations or try them to include energy efficiency issues in their buildings if they don't want it or if they don't have the money for it. So that's a key issue that emerged from this analysis, this issue of how to integrate socioeconomic criteria in the funding schemes to try to approach the end users differently, depending on how will be the benefit of that public money to the different users. So, so for people who can afford building refurbishment with most of their funds, probably some environmental criteria on the funding could be possible. But people who cannot afford really the normal living, you cannot impose an environmental criteria to them. Even you have to help them on that, and the return for the public money on that would be very good, improving the health and full benefits for society on that. And I'm not sure if the question will be more related to the end user, like behavior or stuff, but I respond more to the social aspect of the end user.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pachi. And Stefano, I have one for you as well. You mentioned harmonization processing of both planning figures like SEAD and CCAP on one side and SUMP on the other side. Which is the main barrier that you have found for this joint implementation, for this harmonization process? And do you need to take a few steps back and do some kind of previous work within the municipalities, in your experience?
The main barrier, as I said, is that people from different departments doesn't talk to each other, and yeah, and usually the mayor maybe sometimes has got an idea about the existence of SEAP, but not on SUMP at this stage now today. Yeah. Maybe within 3 years everything will be different. For example, in Italy, we are the country with the biggest number of SEAP. We've got 3,600 SEAP, which is more than half of the European SEAPs, I think, or more or less. And we have 120 SUMP, mainly in the cities on which Simpla is focused, that are cities with between 50,000 and 350,000 inhabitants, medium size. So we should understand there is another part of analysis that we are carrying out that talks about consumptions, energy consumptions, and mobility consumptions in municipalities that are not big enough to stay in this, big enough to think at a sustainable urban mobility plan, which is a complex instrument.
So
because probably sometimes if a municipality is located in a place with few houses, far from each other, maybe in the mountains, fuel consumptions are high. There is a difficulty of accessibility.
Yeah.
So it's a problem that
So this anticipates the other question I got for you, which is have you identified some scenario where having one of these plans but not the other is the best option?
the best option is the two plans are already adopted, approved. This is the best option to carry out the objectives of Simpla. If now we selected a number of municipalities, I think two of them has got only the SAMP. Very strange, but it's possible. In this case, we will train them to develop the SEAP in an harmonized way with the SAMP and to harmonize the SAMP with the SEAP.
Okay. Then I have a couple of linked questions for our Dutch partners. Marion, I got a question for you. They are asking, you have mentioned, or maybe Jasper has mentioned, that the cost of net zero energy renovation is mentioned to be significant. So what is the average cost of such renovation per household? They're asking for a figure here. I don't know if this is a... And then let me formulate the second question, which is, how would you, or how are you thinking about resolving the issue of cultural heritage buildings while implementing this, and I'm reading here, the new district heating. I suppose they are talking about substituting the gas infrastructure. How does cultural heritage collide with this?
For the first question, I was telling you that we are estimating 8 billion for the city of Utrecht. And per household, it will be 20,000 investments of the private homeowners. And so this is what we calculated. It's an estimation, only for gas-free, to be gas-free.
Total cost of intervention?
No,
or just the part
only the costs of the additional, what you should do to be gas-free.
Okay. And regarding cultural heritage, do you have some insight?
Yes, they are a party of our coalitions, and I'm not exactly sure what the question is. Maybe you can tell me again. So, is it? We talked a lot about them. They have more rules we should be applying to. But they are part of our coalition. Is that an answer to your question? Oh, maybe my colleague will help me out.
You can even sit on a chair.
So you see mostly when we, of course, in the Netherlands have old cultural centers as well. So if you're looking for solutions to replace that, you cannot insulate those maybe churches and all those houses. So you will probably end up with maybe district heating, but then looking at geothermal sources, for example. So in that case, you don't do the insulation of the cultural heritage dwellings, but you're looking at the source and see if you can create sustainable sources. So we have in the Netherlands quite some geothermal potential, for example, and in that case, you can have a high temperature district heating, for example, in the old city centers, and you get, for example, all electric solutions more at the boundaries in which dwellings have been made who are possible to provide with insulation, etc.
Okay. Thank you very much. And last question, unless you have come up with a question yourselves, last question I have for you is a general question. I think it applies to all of you, not only from Foster Rec, but also from Simpla and Empowering. It's a general question. They're asking, which issue, single issue, did you find most challenging before implementing your project? And how has this vision of yours changed now? So I would like you to highlight one single issue which you maybe consider the most important when we're dealing with this subject, which is very similar for the three projects, and let's see how close or how far we are from each other. Yeah.
I'll start since I'm first in a row. Well, one particular issue that I had the biggest concern with when we were starting with the development of our workshop was I worried about what the feedback would be from public authority employees. As I've mentioned before, a lot of them are really overwhelmed with the current work that they already do, and I wasn't sure if we were really going to attract the right personnel, or if we would be able to maintain their interest in this process of our workshop. So I was really concerned that we would not be able to really gather the key stakeholders in this process. But after these 2 years and several workshops that we had, my opinion has obviously changed, as it's really shown just by this final conference that, as I mentioned before, many of them that were with us in the first workshop have really followed through every single step of this project.
Absolutely, I do agree with you, and I think we have received a lesson of commitment from these public servants. Absolutely.
Yes, for me, the most challenging has been to approach the higher level and the political leaders, like to have a more direct, real, quick impact on policy making. So you have to access these top people, and that is a real challenge because both the political interest they might have and because they change every few years, those people. And it's very difficult from the public servants, like the technical staff, like yes, you just mentioned, is very good response, and normally they are interested, and many times they have very good knowledge already, and participating has been good, so no problem at all, and we have started new collaborations, has been perfect. But to reach the political level is a big challenge, and I think the only way to approach that is at general level for all of us as citizens to demand that to be in the political agenda. It's education for all of us. That's a different subject for a different project probably, but it needs to be a demand from the citizens to this energy and climate to be part of the political agenda. It's in everything. It has socio-economic consequences for all, not only for us, but much wider, and that's the only way to probably involve the higher management and political leaders, because as public servants, as technicians, we do our best, and I think it's a good response.
I need more time to think, so thank you. Well, the main thing we learned, I told you we are learning by doing. And our main goal is that you can learn without losing time. And because if you're learning, you're stopping the process. So how can you learn and be active and go on and have, if you don't lose the time. Thank you.
Okay. In our case, the coaching period is very scary for me, because now the training is easy. The technicians and employers of the public authorities come to us to receive the training, no problem. The second phase, we go there, and change the organization, put a person in charge of the harmonization process, one of them. So they sent a couple of letters of intent, but I don't know how it will go.
Good luck with that.
For us, it was a challenge in the beginning of the project because of the change in the framework of the Covenant of Mayors. We were so focused on SEAPs, and when they changed to SECAPs, we were... So now we managed to shake up and start things, speed up implementation. And the next challenge that was followed right after the SECAP challenge was engagement of stakeholders and collaboration. So that was a challenge, but also this was overcome, so it's better now.
Yeah, same as in Foster Ray, yeah.
I think in the Netherlands as well, what Marion said about learning by doing, but also the energy efficiency have been a really tough topic for some decades already. And I think within the Netherlands now, by creating a different approach on the view, so the perspective from the infrastructure and the gas really provided a window of opportunity also on public and also on more on the political to really now make steps and really go into a transition. So I think that has been a huge, there has been an opportunity created so to really now make steps with energy efficiency by looking from the gas infrastructure.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we can call it a day. We have had questions for everyone, unless, and this is your last chance, unless you have some questions. And in case you don't, I think we have made a pretty good job in managing time. I think we have a question here. Yeah.
It's just a comment. First of all, thank you all for your efforts to bring this issue of urban regeneration to local and regional level. I think it's important, and I'm very happy because a lot of young people are involved in that. But I would be even happier if the topic was urban regeneration and adaptation. Adaptation to climate change and to end of fossil fuel age, because it's very important, especially here, because nobody talks about it. We had national elections, local elections, it was not issue whatsoever. And those things will profile our life, our quality of life in any possible case in the future, and nobody still talks about it. And this is a great challenge. So thank you for your efforts, especially to Christina that started it with the Energy Cities, then to Jasper, Marion, and Stefano, which emphasizes. So if you can maybe add that to your activities, I think your efforts will be very high appreciated. And one more thing. European Commission could make a great favor to its citizens if it not pursue economic growth above this adaptation and transformation, because those are mutually excluding goals. And sometimes in the time frame that we have to acknowledge this. And this is important to start with, because many solutions you cannot do if you do not consider the issue of growth. Thank you very much all.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your intelligent comment. I can adhere to most of it, at the very least. Thank you. Yeah.
May I just, wanna I want to just comment slightly on the gentleman's response. I absolutely agree with you. I think there is also several issues that are connected to one another, but we had to leave something for the future projects that we're going to work on. I say that from the experience of once we come to our supervisors and elected officials and start talking to them about SEPs, about noise action plans, about air quality programs, they become overwhelmed with everything that needs to be done. So we need to take, as we say, baby steps in education and in tackling each of these issues at first separately before we can really combine everything together. It's just so much area that needs to be covered that I think from the local levels we have seen so many of them overwhelmed that we really need to take it easy. But there are future projects that are currently in plans to be developed that will tackle some of those issues that you have mentioned.
Yes.
So hopefully they will be approved and we will continue the successful work that we have been doing so far.
And may I add that in a way we are already working with this. It probably is not on the forefront of our speech, but the mentions that have been popping up, and you mentioned the names along the morning, I think they are a good proof that awareness on climate change and this adaptation is also part of our work. May not be so in the forefront, but it is there. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
There was a statement earlier that economic growth and climate adaptation exclude each other. We at the Commission stand for sustainable growth, and we are very much in favor of the concept of circular economy that tackles both of these issues simultaneously.
Okay, so, well, still like 12 minutes late. I know you're hungry, but if you allow me, I will take a couple of minutes to close the final conference as foster care coordinator. And I want to start by giving thanks to many people. First and foremost, to my colleagues from the Foster Care Consortium. It has been a real pleasure to work and to share with you these 2 years. Getting along very well and having, well, moments of work and also very fun moments together with you. And this is something I really appreciate and I take with myself, I take home with me. So thank you for this. Thank you for your hard work and thank you for these brilliant results. Especially now at this moment, a big thank you to Tomislav, who is in the back in the room, Antun and the rest of the SDEVES people, for this brilliant organization of the last meeting we had yesterday and for the brilliant organization of this event today. It has, and I think I speak for the rest of the consortium when I say that it has exceeded our previous expectations. Thank you very much. I also want to give a special thanks to Philippe Mosley, our project officer from IASME, for your continuous support and understanding and for guiding us through all problems and struggles within the project. You have been always there to help and to support. So whatever success comes out of Foster Care is also part of your work and your merit. Thank you very much, Philippe. And last but not least, I want to thank all of you for staying for the whole duration of this event. I really hope, at the very least, it has been inspiring for you. We have made our best efforts to try to let you know about the outcomes of our work. I think that the richness that we have seen here, or the variety of approaches in the 3 countries that our colleagues have been explaining to you during the second part of the day, hopefully lends to a richness in the number of references that you can take for your everyday duties in your work. And if we achieve this with some of you, all of our effort will have been worthwhile. So thank you for attending. Please remember that you can access all of the project materials in our website. They are there for you to use, and they will be there for a long time. With this, I think that's all I had for you today. Thank you very much, and this is, in a way, the end of the project of Fosterreg. I hope that the seed we have planted will continue, and we keep on working on integrating these issues that need to be integrated. Thank you.